about 4 or 5 homes. And so with that, I've been doing, it's called the Z CMA. And so I'm sure a lot of people know what that is. It's just going and like taking a screenshot of your estimate or somebody's estimate, putting it on a mailer and sending it out. I think the cool thing about this one is it's in the block below it. It's handwritten, and I say, I have my opinion. What is yours? I also have an arrow to my fellow QR code that people can scan, and that goes straight to fellow, so it's trackable, so I can see how many times they're opening emails and doing different things. I think the great thing about this is the average person only gets 2 pieces of mail a day. So if you're continuously sending things, and I'll get to what else we're sending in the back, but it's trackable, and that's something that I learned a long time ago is don't do it if you can't track it. So the fellow is nice because it gives you all of this information based on their mortgage, what their home value is. Now it is automated, so this is really just to have the conversation and, you know, pick up the phone and do these things. But you can go in and you can change the home value. So like if you're farming somebody and you know that the house is, you know, worth $50,000 more, then you have that option, and it doesn't have to be super fine-tuned because obviously you don't know what the inside of their house looks like, etc. But it does give you the propensity score of 67. So this is the house that I bought June of last year, and I probably would sell if somebody offered me the right money. But so going through that, I can go and change it, and it gives me this propensity score. So like I had one that wanted, I think it was like a 97, and they wanted a cash offer immediately. So I pick up the phone, I call them, I go visit their house, etc., doing the things. So where should you start? This was the biggest thing for me because I was like, I'm an ID, so like I come up with all of these ideas and then I don't know how to implement them. My tenacity's in the middle. And so what I was doing is I was just like brain dumping everything. And so I figured that I needed to do my past clients, my friends, family, and then go to my farms. And I found that the easiest way to do this with farms is to print out like a big map and do it street by street and mark them off. So like one day I farm downtown. So like I did Raleigh Street. So I knew that they got it. And then I would follow up with an email. What did you think about this? So I think whatever fits your schedule is best, but like doing a street is helping me create the system. I'm like, hey, this is when it was mailed out. My parents also live down there, so I can say, hey, did you get this? And I can track it. But past clients, they always want to know, you know, what their equity is. And I think that was the biggest question I was faced with is people are sitting here and they're like, is my equity safe? There's so many headlines and people just don't know. So creating these things seemed easier, and it just sparked more conversation. So after that, this is a unsolicited CMA that I just recently did, I believe yesterday. And so I use RPR to do all of my stuff because it pulls directly from MLS. It just saves me that extra step. If I know that there's a house that is comparable, then I can go and do these things. I like Canva, so like this is super simple for me to just go and create the template and then just put things in there. So I will email this over, but then I will also mail it over with a handwritten note. And then I will follow up with a phone call wondering how they liked it, was the valuation. Okay, the next slide. But recent home sales. So also when I do this, I make it real pretty because people want to see that, but all of those links to the pictures go directly to my Real Scout. So instead of going to Zillow, I go to the Real Scout, so that way I can track and see if they're actively looking on things. They'll onboard and they'll, you know, so that way I can track everything because everybody's always looking for houses, but they really just want to look at the pictures. They don't really care what it's sold for. So I thought that was the nicest thing about that and Real Scout was having everything that it was trackable. And then I throw in a couple of other things like what is a CMA, what goes into a CMA. People love to talk about updates. If they've updated their house, they're going to tell you because they're super proud of it. It's very expensive to do it. But also I want to be the resource that they go to. So we go in and out of houses every single day. So we know what's trending, what's out. what's in. And so I don't want somebody to just be like, am I buying or selling? I want to be that person that they come to and they're like, I'm thinking about making this update and I want to be the person that they're coming to. And so also on that, I put in there, if you don't like the valuation, it's based on, you know, what I've seen online, because I haven't physically been in the home. Now, if I physically have been in the home, it's pretty accurate. But just explaining these things, because there's a lot of people out there who don't know why they're doing, like, why we do this. But it's super nice because it sparks the conversation, and it gives me the room to say, okay, what's next? Because most people, they may just want to know, hey, I have $350,000 of equity. You know, I could do a HELOC and pull it out and buy something else, or you could do something else with it. So, the email. So this is something that I just recently did as of like 4 days ago. And I sent this to my entire database. I'm setting aside a few hours this week to put together home equity reports for my clients. These reports are more comprehensive, accurate than what you're getting from an online tool fellow. Can I send you one for your home? Let me know. It's very simple, something that you can just click through. The next slide I have so I had a 30%, 31% open rate, which is really good. And so 1,400 people, and I'm working on getting more people in my database. Out of the 567 people who opened it, 6 people reached out to me for a CMA. Out of those 6 people, I got 4 listing appointments. Yep. I just went on one yesterday.
And these are past clients or
Just database? Yep. People that I'm farming. Yep. Anything. So that was just a broad, like, broadcast to my entire database. I do have smaller ones like downtown Fuquay. We have all these new construction homes. So I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. I have one under contract. So I go through and I take videos of what it's currently doing, and just go from there. But just keeping people up to date and knowing these things. But people really want to know, is their equity safe? And so doing this, they're like, oh, what does this mean? And what can I do with this? Because I really think the market's about to pick up again. It's going to be crazy. So every email I send, I put my Calendly link at the bottom. I think the number one thing is we're always uncomfortable asking the next thing. So it's like, hey, this is below is my live calendar for ease of scheduling. I think it takes the weight off of us because we're like, okay, well, what's next? But also if they see that, they're like, oh, I can just go back and schedule, right? It's open, it's live, you can do anything. You can mark off if you want to take a day off or a couple hours, but it's always accurate. And I think that's the most important thing, is like, you're giving them, saying that they're your priority. And so I found that this has worked religiously well in mine. That's how I got the 4 listing appointments. People went and just scheduled it. So once I do this, I take it one step further and I post on social media. It's something that I'm just starting to get my foot back in the door. I wanted to do videos and do all these things, but I am the type of person who likes to take the whole bite of the elephant and not tiny little bites. And so we're working on that. So I just had a client that in 2019, they bought this house. They bought with Anna, 750, and we're about to relist right at 1-1. We were able to get them into their new home without having to sell for, I think we were under contract for 6.5 months. And so we finally decided to pull it off the market, and do a HELOC, grab the money, and then go do what they want. But they bought for 750 and now they're doing this. So like, I think that is the story behind it, is like, they had equity that they didn't even know about. And so I would go on social media and I would post it, and then I would say, hey, I just did this CMA for this client, and then create a poll. Do you want an equity evaluation? Yes. Or, you know, what is an equity evaluation? And so once I did that, I would post a video of the house, so that way they could see what it looked like. Because house tours are probably the number one thing that people really care about on social media. Then I would do another poll. What do you think home prices are going to do in 2024? And increase, decrease, and then plateau. And then I think taking this one step further,
I figured it out. Hold on.
It was you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I logged in.
Next slide.
Oh, that's right.
And then I would turn around after they vote and message every person and be like, why do you think home prices are going to increase, decrease, or plateau? And then after that, I would post the poll and then I would post what people said. 41% of people said increase because of the continuous infrastructure being built in the triangle. 41% said decrease because they were hopeful to buy a home. Key, these people are getting 41% of those people who registered, they want to buy a home. And they want the home prices to decrease so they can buy a home. So I think that's the unattainable thing nowadays is I'm 25, I just bought my first house and it was hard. And I think we like to think that it's easy because we're in the day-to-day. And so people think that they can do it without us. But if we show them, you know, the negotiation side of the equation and how hard it actually is, I think that your social media will, you know, you'll start to see the fruit of it because once you're showing them the behind the scenes of it, it's not just the prettiness because everybody thinks we just go and show houses and most of us rip our hair out at like 7 o'clock at night when we're having to do all of this paperwork. But a lot of people don't know that. But this just shows me that a lot of people aren't educated. So there is my opportunity to go in and educate them because I think that's something that we miss as agents is going in and we're automatically just like, are you ready to buy or sell? But like not explaining the whole entire process behind it. And then 19% said that they believe that the home prices were going to plateau. So, like I said, it shows me that these people, you know, it gave me an opportunity for conversation because that's all we want out of this is we need to be having these conversations. And I think what I learned is we have 30 conversations, 15 continue, and then maybe 7 convert. But if we're having conversations every day with these people, then we're always going to be top of mind. And I think that's exactly what we need. But it's on all aspects. It's like they're getting a piece of mail, they're getting email, and then you're on their social media. So I'm trying to hit all of them. And so far it's working for me. I just went on a listing appointment yesterday and then I have one Sunday as well. So it's one of those things that it's consistency. And I haven't always been consistent. Rob and Katie are helping me with that. But I do think that this is one of those things that like, as long as you're having the conversations, you're going to be a business. The second that you stop having the conversations, that's when you are going to feel like I did 6 months ago and you're like, what am I doing? So. And then I repeat and repeat and repeat and I get really bored, but it works. It really does because I've been doing this for almost 4 months and I was not seeing any fruit to my labor. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my fellows, people are coming in, people want cash offers, or, you know, they're like, okay, well, what is equity? You know, what can I do with my house or my kids going to college? What does this mean? And I think just taking the conversation one step further of like, well, why do you want this? And so the man that I went to go see yesterday, he was just curious. He thought that his house was a tear down. And I was like, why would you think that? Beautiful house. He just needed cosmetic stuff. And, you know, we get to it and he's talking that his children live across the way and that's where he wanted to go. You know, it may not be now, but it'll be 2 years from now, but I'm still top of mind. I went by there, I made the effort, but I had the conversation and I think that's the key. Anybody have any questions? And if you do, please, you can text me, you can call me, we can grab coffee. It's the Let's Grab Coffee is a direct link to my Calendly and I will send these slides out. So that way anybody can ask questions.
Heidi wants to know, what CRM do you use?
Follow Up Boss.
The Boss.
Yep. And I think what's great about Follow Up Boss is I have a marketing background. And so I think the great thing is like you can see when people are opening them. So if they have questions, you're going to know. They're going to open them multiple times. And so you can just continuously track that. But also you can blast things out pretty simply.
How do you choose which neighborhoods to hit besides reaching out to past clients and database?
So I farm where I grew up. My parents still live in downtown Fuquay. We have a lot of new construction down there. I walk there every day. So I know everybody down there. So it's one of those things that it's a community thing.
Proximity.
Yeah. And so I feel comfortable doing that because I know what the homes are worth. And I think this works for me in this regard because I'm not having to sit down for 2 days and figure out what this home is worth because I know what things are trading for. I also think, if you're going to like South Lakes or North Lakes and you're doing that, things are trading all the time. So you can pretty much compare things. But as to farming, it just really depends on, what neighborhood do you want to religiously, study?
And check your turnover rates. For people not from here, do you recommend targeting a neighborhood in their ideal price point and location as well as feeder neighborhoods?
To me, it's not about price, it's about connection. I like to talk to people, so I will go to neighborhoods that I feel like I have knowledge about. So like if let's say you go somewhere and you're like, I know 10 people who live in this neighborhood, that's great. I mean, price, yes. If you sold in a past neighborhood or if you have a listing there, circle prospecting is the way that I got started, door knocking. And I love door knocking. I did it for politics when I was in college, so I have a little background in that. But I think it's just where you feel comfortable, and if you want that price point, then I say go after it.
Turnover rate, yeah. You want to talk about that? They're just asking, what does that mean?
So so downtown, I'll say downtown Fuquay, a lot of people have inquired on Fellow, and so getting them to sell their house has been extremely hard, but having those conversations has been easier. But the turnover rate for it just depends on like South Lakes and North Lakes. Like you go in, and so I think I did when I'm studying these things, I go into the MLS and I look at the last 14 days of houses that have sold, and in Fuquay, just Fuquay alone. And I look and see, and I do remember, I think Anna and I pulled it one day and we had 7 of those listings, which was awesome. But just going through the MLS and, seeing what is selling, pending, active.
And then you can take the last 12 months, divide that by the total houses in the neighborhood. You'll get to a place where you can convert that to a percentage. 10% is ideal, but 5 to 7 in a low inventory market is probably still worth looking at.
But I think the biggest thing is it's the equity. People are very worried about their equity. Everybody thinks the market's going to crash. I think that the most houses are going to be sold up until November. That's just my opinion. I think once the election is here, I think there's going to be a little bit of a standstill, and some uncertainty as we get closer to it. So I feel like if you're hashing these things out, now, you'll have the fruit at the, towards the end of the year. But I think that's the biggest question is, everybody's like, how's the market? But it's actually, how's my equity?
Yeah.
What should I do with it? And I've noticed that a lot of people who bought, my family has a moving company as well. And most of our clients are repeat clients. We move about 250 people a year with the forming group. And most of those people who bought in about 2019, 2020, they're selling their home, even though they're letting go of, the lower interest rate because they've outgrown the home. There's still some people that, I talk to and they're like, I'm just not ready to let go of 2.5%. Okay. But then they tried to turn a closet into a nursery. And I was like, what are you doing? But I think it's one of those things that, I have a different side of the equation in it, but it's also, like I said, the conversation it's key.
Any other questions out there, friends? It's quiet. I have a question. How long do you think it took from I want to do this to getting it into a streamlined system where you had all of your steps?
I still don't feel like I have it all together. Probably when I put the slide deck together.
Oh, good.
At 6 o'clock this morning.
And that's why you present.
I'm still playing around with things to see if there's a better system that I can do, and following up is definitely the hardest part, right? So it's like, how do I track now? Like I've sent the Zestimate mailer. Now, when do I start with the emails and the handwritten notes? And it's usually the high fellow when they click it, then I start that process, but then I go back and now I'm going back over that. So it's been about 3 months. So I'll start going probably next month, going back through what I've sent the estimates and then start doing the unsolicited CMAs. But just, you know, mailing those and then emailing them really count.
Can you let us know your monthly farming plan outside of this CMA strategy? Survive.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Fellow,
Yeah.
okay, sounds like most of it is automated. And it is you going in and doing, and it is you. Sounds like most of it is not automated and it is you going in and doing each item. Do you have an idea of how much of it can be automated?
So the template is in my Canva and I just go through and I just throw it in there. And I save it so that way I can email it out. I would like to say that there is a easier way to do it. I have not figured that out. But I do think that, you know, me doing it is helping me get a grasp on everything. But as of right now, the only thing that's really automated is going to be the fellow.
Yeah, fellow and follow-up boss are connected. So those notes are being interchanged. Activity on fellow is showing up in follow-up boss, the communication between the systems. But yeah, I think Alicia just said, I think the CMA needs to be hands-on to be more accurate. And that's what you're doing. You've got the baselines automated. This is the specialty that layers on top of it.
Right.
Because to your question, Charity, I mean, her farm is getting a fellow notification regularly, and she could go in on any day she wanted to and work her farm through fellow, and that's all very automated and easy to do. This is kind of that layer that goes on top of it that is more intricate, takes more time, but that is a deeper reach.
Yeah.
Yes, if on our website, if you go to our website, and all the agents have their own codes. We use fellow, and that's our home valuation system. And so anyone that goes on our website and is like, wants to know what their home value is, it's automatically funneling them into fellow. And then each of the agents on our team have their own landing sites with their own QR codes and their own website so they can capture their own leads as well. I love systems. I love tech. I love spending money. Fellow is the best money that I've spent
Love it.
on our infrastructure, for those of you that are curious. Any other questions? Any questions from in here?
Right. Like, oh, get there.
So I can help you.
Like,
I know.
it sounds great. It sounds amazing.
Amazing.
It sounds. Still trying to figure it out. Yeah, you know,
I know.
I'm trying to figure out why my phone doesn't alert me when I get Slack. I'm like, what? That's a me problem.
What does fellow do again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part. Yep. Go ahead.
So fellow is, so we had HomeBot previously. It is just a home valuation tool. So back to, I can't remember what slide. I think it was the third or fourth.
Okay.
It's just a home valuation tool. And so fellow actually goes in and just nurtures our contacts that are in there. And so this is pretty much the dashboard that pops up. And so it tells me the information, when it was sold, who the owners are. The propensity score is how likely they are to sell. So 67% for me. As stated before, I'd probably sell if somebody gave me enough money for it. But you can go in and you can change their home value as well. So I think that's taking it one step further, is like, not only are they coming in and you can see that they've come in, but you can also contact them to change it. So that's what I was saying, going back to the farms. If you are farming a neighborhood and you know the neighborhood like the back of your hand, you can go in and you may not necessarily need to see the home, but it's also like you're fine tuning it without seeing it. And so it's that conversation to get you the appointment. So it's the conversations to get the appointment, but at least they're interacting so you can see what they think, but you can also ask them, what do they think? So I think that's going back to the Zestimate is, you know, everybody's searching on Zillow. And so when I do my unsolicited CMAs, I put my Real Scout link in there as well. So that way, if they are searching, then they can onboard there and I can track what they're doing. So. But it's just it's a nicer, you know, homeowner tool.
Any other questions on Zoom? Her very smart brain is here, so if you have a question, let us know. If not, just go get to work, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Alicia. It's great to see you. Thanks, Julie. Thanks for popping in. Awesome. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks for
Charity.
having me.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm glad I think Blake asked for it to go on Zoom. So thanks, Blake, for going bigger than just our office.
Yes,
do-
thank you. That was good.
Absolutely. We keep these recorded so you guys can always pop on to our website, agentsempowered.com, and we will have the recording of this up. So if you have agents that this might be helpful for, you can share it. And you have Gwendy's information. Give her a follow on social if you don't already. Yeah, keep in touch with us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. It's awesome.
Awesome. You are awesome. Thanks. You were awesome, especially since you got that warm-up lap, you know? That's
Yeah.
really good.
Good.
Oh, I was like, why is no one engaging? I was like, this is good content. Because we were on mute.
Tell me about that person in downtown. Can't get him to answer his phone.
All right, we're
You
on
rocked,
sound,
girlfriend.
Thanks, Rob.
right?
You helped me get my
That was
steps.
actually pretty good.
That was great.
How's it working out for you, Rob?
For me, it's working out at your rate though. Probably the language I use. I'm probably not as inviting, just more directive.
So that's why I put my picture on there. So that way when they see me walk by, they can be like, oh, okay. Probably not, but it's inviting. I know.
All right.